I always knew I'd end up here sooner or later. If you couldn't tell by the channel logo, I'm a huge Persona 3 fan, and I've been waiting for a Persona 3 remake ever since I first beat Portable. So as you'd expect, my expectations for this game were pretty damn high, and it did not disappoint. As always, I'm going to recap the story first, so if you don't want spoilers, I'll timestamp the review part of the video below. Probably. We open with our protagonist, Makoto Yuki, transferring to a new school in Tatsumi Port Island, the city where his parents died 10 years ago. We walk through the city and past a bunch of giant coffins? It must be some weird holiday. I mean, after all, this is the country with a National Penis Day. We make it to the dorm and sign our soul away to this creepy pale kid, and get welcomed by our new roommate. Shit, she's got a gun! I thought I was transferring to Port Island, not Texas. Oh, thank God, we get saved by Mitsuru and get introduced to the trigger-happy one over there, Yukari. After that strange welcome, we head to bed because tomorrow we start our first week at Gekukan High. Our first few days are nothing special. We meet Junpei, have a strange dream about Dr. Doofenshmirtz's long-lost brother Igor and his assistant Elizabeth, then watch Junpei gamble away his life savings. And at night, we get stalked in our sleep by the rest of the dorm. Basically your normal high school experience. Until one night, Yukari barges in. Apparently the dorms are getting attacked, so she drags us to the roof. Oh shit, what is that thing? You know what? I'm not worried about it. Yukari has a gun. She'll handle this. No, wait. What is she doing? Turn it the other way! Alright, screw it. Either the run ends here, or we get a power-up. It's a 50-50 chance. Oh, thank God that worked. What the hell is this thing? What the hell just happened? Well, before we can get any answers, Makoto falls into a coma, where Igor tells us that was a persona, and for some reason we can use a bunch of them. But in order to bring out their full potential, we have to go out and socialize with people around the city. We wake up and immediately Yukari won't shut up about her dead dad. Like, I've been in a coma for a week, let me have 5 minutes to myself. The next day, Ikutsuki, the chairman of the dorm, tells us how they're a part of a group named Seas. They fight shadows during the 25th hour of the day called the Dark Hour, to prevent people from getting apathy syndrome, and they need our help. Clearly they've been doing a shit job so far, so we join because they're desperately in need of real leadership. At night, we get woken up by the little ghost kid again. Can I not go 2 days without someone watching me sleep? Anyways, he says that the end is coming and we're gonna die soon or whatever. If I wanted to hear this shit, I'd start opening the doors for Jehovah's Witnesses. The next day, Junpei gets drafted into Seas. Akihiko found him curled up crying like a little bitch in a 7-Eleven and thought he might be useful. At midnight, we get taken to Gekukan High, and during the dark hour, the school funded by the $1 million company turns into a giant tower called Tartarus. I'm sure there's no correlation there. That just has to be a coincidence. We do some light exploring, and the following day, we meet Kenji, who just decides we're best friends now. And over the next few days, he reveals his secret plan to get groomed by a teacher. To prevent his degeneracy from rubbing off on us, we join the track team and meet Kaz, start hanging out with an elderly couple, and meet Odagiri after joining the student council. That's still not enough, so we start playing video games with a random stranger named Maya. Thank God Maya's social link takes place pre-Modern Warfare 2, otherwise she would have been throwing around racial slurs. A few days later, Kenji's plan actually works, and now he's dating Miss Kano. I've got nothing to add here. The crazy son of a bitch actually pulled it off. Good for him. We tried starting the Gourmet King social link, but I answered one question wrong, and now he refuses to talk to me. Let me love you, you fat bastard! It's not like people are lining up to talk to you anyways. You know what? Screw that. I hope he wanders into Tartarus so I could watch Shadows tear him apart limb from greasy limb. That ghost kid appears again, and he must be related to the girl from the ring, because he says 7 days and disappears. What does this message mean? Well, we'll find out in a week. Right now, we spend the next few days playing video games with Maya, listening to Kenji brag about how he's dating a teacher, and start hanging out with Yuko, the track team's manager. A week after the warning, we have to fight a powerful shadow that's controlling a train full of people. And the following boss fight comes with a time limit. I don't want to waste a second of it. Whew. We were cutting it pretty close there. The next few weeks are nothing special. We befriend the living embodiment of high cholesterol, Nozomi. Not surprised that he's the Moon Arcana considering they're damn near the same size. We go to the arcade with Junpei where he gets his ass handed to him in Street Fighter. And ace our exams. Akihiko tells us about Fuka, a possible new Seas member. But waiting to see how that plays out, we help Kenji with his woman problems. Watch Odagiri get Mike Tyson while trying to find out who's been smoking in the bathroom. Then at night, we fight crime with Akihiko. And learn that Maya is actually Miss Toriumi, our homeroom teacher, who wants to groom Makoto. Oddly enough, this happened to me once. And ironically, the girl later on went on to become a teacher. I had no idea this game would get more relatable as time went on. There's a ghost story going around Gekukan High. Since people are getting put in the hospital with apathy syndrome, we were forced to look into it. Kenji finds out Miss Kano is actually engaged. I don't care if he's a degenerate, we still gotta back up our boy. Both her and her fiancé are about to catch a Maggie Dolan when Kenji stops us. She better hope I don't catch her lacking during the dark hour, or it's over for her. We have a meeting to talk about the ghost situation, but instead of investigating, I spent the whole week dicking around with Kenji and Odagiri. But Yukari did manage to find out where all the victims hung out, so the next day we head out to get some answers. Yukari trash talks the locals, causing them to take out their frustrations on Junpei, but Shinji steps in, and despite never going to school, he not only knows about the ghost story, but also how it started. Fuka was being bullied and may or may not be dead. And the next day at school we confront Natsuki, Fuka's bully, who reveals that she locked Fuka in the closet overnight, then she mysteriously disappeared. It's pretty obvious what happened here. The ghost got her. Okay, seriously. She ended up in Tartarus. That night we find her in Tartarus, and before we could get her to safety, Akihiko makes her a new navigator. He also realizes that the strong shadows appear every full moon, right after Mitsuru and Yukari get knocked out. Fuka awakens to her persona, and I'm only now seeing the irony in that the girl who was being bullied has the only persona that can't fight back. We beat the shadows and Fuka goes into a coma, during which we learn about Kaz's messed up knee, and his refusal to go get medical treatment. Who needs a hospital when you can just ignore the pain and pretend it doesn't bother you? Look at me. I've had a broken tooth for a while now, and do you hear me complaining? No. Please subscribe, I haven't been able to chew with the right side of my mouth for 7 months now. Fuka joins C's, and Yukari has a problem with that, because even though she joined willingly, Yukari thinks they're rushing her into this. But when Makoto joins the day after waking up from a coma, she couldn't have been more ecstatic. Fuka somehow becomes best friends with the girl who almost got her killed, and we start a social link with Pharaohs, the little ghost kid that's been stalking us. The chairman gives us new equipment, so we head into Tartarus to test it out.
Everyone's always
Yukari, do something! Now's not the time for a monologue!
over here! Watch this!
That would have been useful before my near-death experience. We finished Odagiri's social link just in time to join the art club and meet Kisuke. We also start Fuka's social link, where she gives us food poisoning by making us try her cooking. The only person who'd be able to finish that monstrosity on a plate would be that gluttonous sack of shit Nozumi. The game we've been playing with Miss Toryumi is about to be shut down, and she was going to send our chat logs to the devs in an attempt to try and keep the game alive. But then she realized that she admitted to wanting to bang a minor, so it's best that the game die out. We helped Chihiro get over her fear of men by starting her social link. Makoto's been an orphan for a decade. That means he never had a real father figure growing up. So who better to fill that role than Mutatsu, the alcoholic monk, and Tanaka, the tax-evading con man. We defeat the next full moon shadow, who goes down after being smited with a couple Megidolons. But there's a second shadow that tries to use the power of horniness against us. Wait a sec. If Makoto and Yukari didn't break free from the mind control, would they have just appeared in that hotel room after the dark hour ended and ruined a random couple's date? Like they're chilling on the couch, getting settled in. Turn to the right, and there's Makoto standing there with his tower kind of hanging out. Anyways, we defeat the shadow of horniness, and a few days later, Nozumi tries scamming us out of 132,000 yen. That night, Yukari finally pieces together that the Kirijo group created the Dark Hour, but Ikutsuki tells us that if we manage to defeat the 6 remaining full moon shadows, the Dark Hour will end. We confront Nozumi about the scam he's been running, and then that fat bastard turns on me, only to come crawling back as soon as he's in trouble. We meet Ken, yet another orphan who's going to be staying at the dorm, and we finish Nozumi's social link, and knowing that I never have to see him again makes the trip to Yakushima much more enjoyable. On the first night, Mr. Kirijo reveals that the experiment that caused this was created by his father, then sabotaged by Yukari's dad, and we had to comfort her when she starts crying over her dead dad again. On day 2, we try hitting on women with Junpei and Akihiko, where we fail miserably, until, on the edge of the pier, we see a blonde girl staring out into the ocean. I've maxed out my social stats. I'm a genius, charismatic badass. Yet that still isn't enough to not scare the hoes away. In order to avoid sexual harassment charges, we chase after her. Why are you running? Ma'am. Come back. Stop running! After cornering her, we find out she's a persona-wielding robot named Igus. who refuses to leave us alone. So we gotta take her back to Port Island. Great, one more obstacle preventing me from getting a full night's sleep. School's out for the summer, but before we can enjoy our break, we have to train with the track team for an upcoming meet. We find and save a persona using dog, and with some extra motivation from Tanaka and Mutatsu, we manage to get second in the competition. Finally, we can enjoy our vacation. There's no better way to start summer than by gaslighting a little girl into thinking she is the reason her parents are getting divorced. If that's not what summer's about, then what is? While tracking the full moon shadow, we get stalked by a couple of violent Make-A-Wish kids who call themselves Strega. They want to stop us from ending the dark hour, and they do that by locking us in a bunker, with one of the shadows that we need to kill in order to end the dark hour. Anyone else see the problem with that logic? We start a social link with Hayase, aka the only other person who could eat as much as Nozomi, and Korimaru joins C's, easily the best non-human party member in the series. Despite having straight A's, we still have to go to summer school. And while walking back one night, we run into Takaya, the leader of Strega, and he helps us fight a shadow. See, he's not that bad a guy. He just likes committing the occasional murder or two. There's nothing wrong with that. We all go a little mad sometimes. We level up our social links, hanging out with the old couple, getting life advice with Tanaka, and abusing Hayase's discount for free food, while Junpei falls victim to every man's weakness, a mentally unstable alt girl. Takaya tries to make us see why the dark hour is a blessing rather than a curse, and he had me agreeing with him for a second. I almost forgot he was a villain. If he ever decides to branch out and form a larger group, we'd be in trouble. Ken joins C's because you can't get charged with child labor if it takes place during the 25th hour of the day. Mutatsu gives up alcohol and goes back to his family. And now, instead of spending time with a guy who screwed up his life, we spend time with Akanari, a guy who's never going to be able to start his life because he's dying. We encourage Maiko to run away, and that's the last we see of her, until her parents come looking for her. And just like Maiko, we gaslight them into thinking it's all their fault, until we find her. Now that we're back from break, it's time to be faithful to the original game, and become the biggest man-whore Gekukan High has ever seen. That's right, we're going to be handing out dick-like Costco samples. Yuko, Chihiro, Yukari, Fuka, even the gay French kid gets to be in the harem. I don't discriminate. Aiga starts going to school. Despite being a robot, she's easily the dumbest member of C's behind a 5th grader and a dog. Shinji rejoins the team, and Junpei spills classified C's secrets to the only girl on Port Island who could put up with him for longer than 5 minutes. During the next full moon boss, we ruin an up-and-coming singer's concert, and afterwards find that Junpei was captured by Chidori, who was a member of Strega. I knew from the moment I saw her she was for the Dark Hour. She's lucky Junpei was there to stop her, because I was about to nuke her with an Armageddon. Chidori gets thrown into a mental asylum and put under 24-hour surveillance. Otherwise... how do I put this? She'll try to Hannah Baker herself. While Junpei tries to fix Chidori, we spend time with Shinji and make Yuko the first girl to enter the harem after impressing her with our parenting skills.
Why don't you give them some advice, too?
Run faster, you're not getting dinner for a week. See? All that advice with Tanaka really paid off. We try to convince Shinji to go back to school and start thinking about his future. Otherwise, he'll probably end up dying in an alley somewhere. Yukari gets mad at us for saving her because she's a strong, independent woman who could take care of herself. But the last time we let her handle things on her own, this happened. We go into Tartarus, where I think I just might have found the best party member in the game. Look at that damage. Look at his cool-ass persona. Look at his beautiful theurgy. He's easily staying on my team for the rest of the playthrough. Unfortunately, we can't use him for the next boss. And for some strange reason, Ken has gone too. It's only after defeating the Shadow that Mitsuru remembers, oh yeah, Shinji accidentally killed Ken's mom 2 years ago, and now he wants revenge. But Takaya shows up and shoots Shinji. Then Shinji gets shot again protecting Ken. The rest of C's come just to watch him die. Why is no one saving him? 3 people have healing skills. Someone, use Dia, give him a Soma, something! Shinji dies, and the next day, Akihiko awakens his persona while mourning his dead friend. This is truly one of the more heartbreaking scenes in the game. Almost as impactful as the original. After Ken decides to keep living for his mom and the guy he intended to murder, his persona evolves, giving him a revival skill. Couple days too late, don't you think? Ken gets to stay in C's with 0 repercussions. If I was Akihiko, I wouldn't even let him step foot into Tartarus until he gets the JoJo villain treatment. Fuka's persona evolves after her best friend / almost murderer moves away. And we start participating in the art club and join the fashion club with Bebe. And before the next full moon, Yukari gets added to the harem. Strega tries to stop us from fighting the last full moon shadow. But even with Shinji dead, they're still outnumbered 9-2. and after the battle they jump off the bridge. We defeat the last full moon shadow, and just like that, the dark hour is no more, and Pharaoh leaves us. Finally, I could get a good night's sleep without him staring at me from the corner of the room like a sleep paralysis demon. That night, we celebrate the fact that all our hard work meant jack shit because the dark hour still happens. Ikutsuki has been manipulating us this whole time, then uses a reprogrammed Aegis to capture us. The hell's the point of having a team full of Persona users if Aegis can just blitz them in 5 minutes? Anyways, we wake up crucified in Tartarus, forced to watch while Ikutsuki gets ready to shoot Mitsuru's dad. Takeharu may not have the potential, but who needs a Persona when you got a 9mm? They trade shots while Aegis snaps out of her mind control to free us. Ikutsuki falls off Tartarus, which really had me wondering, what do they do with his body? Like, did they just step over his corpse and leave it for the city to clean up? Did Aegis sling him over his shoulder and take him back to the dorm? Or is he in a dumpster somewhere? Oh yeah, and Mr. Kirijo dies. While Mitsuru takes some time to come to terms with her father's tragic death, we start hanging out with a gay French kid. Ikutsuki edited the tape we saw in Yakushima, and seeing her dad's last words causes Yukari's persona to awaken to... I don't even know if I could say its name on here. We help Junpei with his Chidori problems. You see, when a girl says she wants nothing to do with you, that's a clear sign she wants you to do the opposite. In fact, it means she wants to see more of you. We get a new transfer student, Ryoji, who is trying to compete with us for the title of biggest man whore of Gekukan High. We take a class trip to Kyoto where Mitsuru's persona awakens after a bitch slap from Yukari. Chihiro gets added to the harem, and that night we see that Takaya and Jin survive jumping off the bridge, and free Chidori from the mental asylum. The next day, we have to fight her, and Junpei manages to calm her down, only to then be shot by Takaya. Rest in peace, Junpei, the only man to successfully cure a woman of mental instability. May his accomplishments be remembered for generations to come. Luckily, Chidori is the only person who thinks to use a healing skill and uses Samarikon to revive Junpei. Unfortunately, she dies and her persona fuses with Junpei's. While he locks himself in his room to mourn his dead girlfriend, we start Mitsuru's social link. It's the cycle of life. He loses a redhead, we gain a redhead. Bebe gets deported back to France, and Aegis confronts Ryoji, who was the manifestation of death that she sealed in Makoto 10 years ago. How did he get into Gekukan High? He has no parents, no prior school records. He never even wore the uniform, where the teacher's just letting a random guy walk in every day for a month. Ryoji tells us that defeating all the full moon shadows brought about the fall, and we have about 2 months before the world ends, and we all get apathy syndrome. He'll come back on the 31st, and we can either kill him to forget everything and die peacefully, or let him live and remember everything. One thing is for sure. This month, I'm finishing Mitsuru's social link. I have to secure my share in the Kirijo fortune. If the fall is inevitable, I'm dying a millionaire. Ken challenges us to a duel, and gets his ass handed to him. If child services were here, they'd take him away. He deserves this after what happened to Shinji. Aegis comes back and awakens her persona after she gains sentience. Watch, pretty soon she's gonna start multiplying and there's gonna be more of them. Now that I think about it, maybe the fall isn't so bad compared to a robot takeover. Ryoji comes back, and we choose to fight against Nyx, because everyone knows nothing beats the power of friendship in a JRPG. In times like these, the only thing we can do is romance Aegis. She's the last one needed to complete the harem run. Takaya starts a cult to praise Nyx, and while we're on the subject of leaders, Keisuke resigns from the art club to pursue medical school. Chidori comes back to life, conveniently forgetting everything about Strega, Seize, and the drugs that should still be killing her. On the 30th, Elizabeth invites herself to our room, and let's just say never shine a black light in that room again. It'll be like you got flashbanged. Immediately after she leaves, we have kinky robot sex with Aegis, completing the harem right before the fall. We head into Tartarus to either save humanity or die trying. Either way, it's Makoto and his harem against the world. On our way to Nyx, Strega try to stop us, but they both get Armageddoned. Here we are, up against an unkillable enemy. This is going to be Seize's toughest challenge. Well, that was anticlimactic. Okay. Phase 2, not surprising. It is the final boss after all.
The Arcana is the means by which all is revealed.
Okay, 3 phases, well.
The Arcana is the means by which all is revealed.
Is this fight gonna end soon? I don't know, but one thing is for certain. The Arcana is the means by which all is revealed. Oh, he got carpet bombed by Aegis. Doesn't matter because the Arcana is the means by which all is revealed. The Arcana is... Oh, he didn't say it that time.
Yet the Arcana is the means by which all is...
God damn it! No matter how many times we defeat him, It's not enough. Unsurprisingly, it turns out that you can't kill death. As the fall starts to happen, Igor brings us into the Velvet Room to give us the ultimate power. The power of friendship. We fly into the moon and seal away Nyx. We skip to the last few days of the semester and catch up with all our social links. Kenji didn't learn his lesson the first time around and is going to hit on the new teachers the school hired. Yukari no longer has father issues. She now has mother issues that we have to help her through. Yuko chooses the worst possible time to start caring about her grades. Kaz bitched out and got surgery to fix his knee. Odogiri decides to become a teacher, to create a better society. Who does he think he is, one of the Phantom Thieves? Speaking of teachers, Miss Toriumi finds out that we're Tatsuya, and after having a meltdown, she still has the audacity to hit on Makoto mid-faculty office. Hayase gave up his promising track career to work at a factory. Fuka wants to start a tech club but immediately gets declined. Mitsuru was going to balance running a company and going to college. Also, we could be a stay-at-home deadbeat for her. Chihiro finally has the courage to stand up for herself, and she plans on protesting a paper because she disagrees with the topic. Oh god, I've created a Karen, what have I done? Keisuke gets rejected from medical school, so he goes on to start a successful YouTube channel. Mutatsu was able to piece his family back together, and we talk with Akanari's mom at the shrine. Maiko's dad accuses us of trying to commit crimes commonly done by Minecraft YouTubers with his daughter. He must be confusing us with the other Persona 3 protagonist. That fat bastard Nozomi is making a hell of a living eating food all over the country. But I'm not going to be too mad about it. Heart disease will catch up with him sooner or later. We see the old couple for a little bit, then head back to the dorm, where we see that Tanaka is facing tax evasion charges. The next day, Makoto dies, a true hero's death, in the thighs of a woman who loves him. Well, robot, but close enough. Atlas took what I already thought was a 10 and made it better. It's perfect. I could have never imagined this 4 years ago. I remember playing Portable off an emulator on my phone at every opportunity I had. During class, during a baby shower. Hell, I think I even played it during a funeral one time. That's how invested I was when I first got into the game. And when the announcement for the remake was leaked, I couldn't believe it. I must have rewatched it at least 15 times that day. With that being said, Persona 3 Reload isn't going to be for everyone. The game starts in April and doesn't really pick up till around September. It's a slow ride, but if you stick with it, slowly working your way through the social links, the payoff will be worth it. It's been a while since my last playthrough, and I forgot how well the social links drive home the main theme of the game, that being death. It's easy to get invested in the game when you see how the characters handle death, whether it literally be coming to terms with it, either yours or someone around you, or a more metaphorical death like your parents divorcing, or having to give up on your dreams. I'm getting ahead of myself. There's going to be more story-related stuff towards the end. There's so many new additions that just make the experience so much better. At night, you can hang out with different season members, which slowly builds the relationship from people who you're stuck with to people who you want to be around as the game goes on. The group study sessions before exams really help build the group dynamic. And link episodes, which are basically mini social links for the guys of C's. You learn more about the huge parts of their character that get glossed over in other versions. You know how nice it is to finally see Ken get character development that doesn't end with him getting victimized? There's a rewind feature that lets you go back to some of your recent saves, which really help if you missed a deadline on a quest, a link episode, or need more time in Tartarus. If this isn't your first Persona game, you'll probably never use it, but it's a nice little feature for newcomers to the series. The soundtrack is one of the best parts. I had a lot of nostalgia for the original version. The first time Mass Destruction played, I thought this is large-scale damage. Wide-scale demolition even. Call it whatever you want, but this isn't the song I know and love. But as time went on, all the Reload songs started to grow on me, which wasn't the case with the new songs. The new intro and battle theme made it into my top 10 Persona tracks almost immediately. Reload definitely took away a lot of challenge from the original. It's not royal levels of easy, but it was on the brink of being so. I was able to clear new areas of Tartarus in one night, without having to use the clock for healing. And if I ever died to a floor boss, it was because I didn't have enough SP to get through the fight. Which is really only an early game issue. Once you hang out with Yukari, you'll be able to full heal the party for 11 SP. And about halfway through the game, you can just run up on enemies and get the advantage no matter what. Plus, the addition of Theurgies will almost always get you through floor bosses and monad bosses. I will say, shifting does feel more balanced than the baton passes from Royal. It's just passing the turn. You don't get any buffs unless you have specific skills on your character. And even then, it's just minor SP recovery or a slightly stronger attack. I feel like this is a better mechanic, and the version Atlas should keep moving forward, because baton passes made every dungeon in Royal a complete joke. There's nothing bad I can say about the game. I can only find minor nitpicks, like how they took away the options for which clubs you want to join for social links, and being able to talk to your team in Tartarus. Granted, I'm biased, so if you could think of more, feel free to comment them down below. For the rest of the video, I'll be talking about spoiler-related stuff. So, if you're not done yet, click off now. Preferably onto one of my other videos, but that's up to you. There's plenty of scenes added to build on the members of Strega, especially Takaya. You see that he has a kind of weird respect for Makoto and doesn't want to fight you, but the circumstances don't allow for any other outcome. And the Link episodes really flesh out the male party members a lot. Junpei apologizes for being a dick to you throughout the story. Shinji tells you that he knows it's only a matter of time before he dies. Ken gives you custody of his hamster before he tries to kill Shinji, which is a huge deal for a 5th grader. And the one that hit me the most is Korumaru's. His ends with Makoto agreeing to take him in after he graduates, which just makes the ending hit that much harder. Speaking of which, the ending. This and Red Dead Redemption 2 are the only games that got me to tear up. And if the game almost broke me when it was a bunch of shitty JPEGs on my phone, you can only imagine my reaction to seeing it completely remade. I almost started crying like a little bitch, I'm not gonna lie. It's been 4 years since I last played the game, and the build-up during the last 2 days hit me just as hard. The final conversations with all your social links are all hopeful plans for the future. Yukari wants you to meet her mom. Kendry wants you to go check out the new teachers the school hired. Fuka wants you to be one of the first members of the club she's starting. And it hits hard when you realize Makoto's not going to be around for any of that. And in the final cutscene, it cuts between Aigis' speech and the members of C's running up to the roof, only for them to show up right after the protagonist dies. They just barely missed his last waking moments. They're all smiling and cheerful, and then you realize they don't know that he's never waking up. It's so depressingly beautiful. With that being said, at first it didn't hit me as hard as the original, because I was more fixated on the fact they removed my favorite line. That's the line that made this my favorite game. That's the line that had me tearing up like a 12-year-old girl watching Twilight for the first time. So it just removed some of the impact from the ending, until I went to go start New Game Plus. I saw that the title screen changed from a dark outline of the main cast with silence in the background, to a bright background with flowers falling in the background. And then you see Makoto's evoker and armband laying on the desk while the melody of Memories of You plays in the background. It hit me as hard as when I first beat Portable. I just had to sit there for a few minutes to let it all sink in. I knew exactly how this was going to play out, and they still managed to get me. Nothing coming out for the rest of the year is topping this game for me. And if Persona 3 Reload gets Spider-Man 2'd at the Game Awards, not winning a single category, I'm storming the stage like the Bill Clinton kid did a couple years ago. I might make a video when the expansion with the answer drops. I'll definitely be making videos on Golden and Royal for sure. Hell, maybe even the first 2 Persona games. But if Atlas won't acknowledge those games, why should I? And with SMT 5 Vengeance getting announced, I'll probably start making some SMT videos. I'll be doing that all within the next decade, I hope. Point is, I've got a lot of videos planned out, but I can only do them if you subscribe. That's all I got for this one. I'ma head out. Later.